Well, Mr. D.S. Senaka's colonization schemes went up to Iranamadu, where the Tamils were settled. The dispute was only in regard to Galloya, which was really also considered to be Bintan in Ampare district. In 1965, Mr. D.S. Senaka brought in the regulations for the reasonable use of Tamil. Unfortunately, he didn't go through with the District Development Council bills, which at that time may have resolved the issue. It may not have gone so far as they came on this Chelanaka formula on colonization in the north and the east, and that we adhered to even in the Mahavali scheme. That's why you find parts of the areas in Batiklo which are not yet been settled, but that's where the Tamils have to be settled. Then you come to my period. Well, we signed the ceasefire agreement and we acted accordingly. What happened inside the LTT was a different issue on which I had nothing to do. Partly, I think in the eastern area there was a bigger pressure to come to a settlement because Muslims, Tamils, Sinhalese all lived together. The Vanni leadership took a different position. The rest, as you know, were disputes that took place inside the LTT. In my view, I don't know why Prabhakaran gave so much of power to one individual, Karuna, which is not certainly we could think of, but we had nothing to do with it. And I do know when the disputes broke out between the two of them, Mr. Balasingham tried to intervene. By that time, I was no longer in charge of the Ministry of Defence. From November 2003, the Ministry of Defence was with President Kumaratunga. But the peace process, I would say, created a new environment, which the LTT, the Mr. Prabhakaran may not have realized fully of how to deal with it. But I don't think I should be blamed for it. We both went in for the peace process. We both realized there was an environment. It's very, very unfair to put the blame on me. I've always asked, if you have any evidence, give it to us. But this type of accusation also raises a question among the Sinhalese. Why is the LTT keeping on with this? They ask me, why do they make this charge against you when you are not responsible for it? Maybe the peace process created an environment in which these situations took place and you couldn't manage it. But certainly it is very, very unfair, and I think it is very unreasonable for Prabhakaran and others to keep this charge going.
Again, once you get into the ceasefire agreement, you recognize the Liberation Tamil Tigers as a representative of Tamils and their demands. And after, when the war escalated again, the general, Mr. Sarath Fonseca, who led the war and who wiped out the LTT totally, has been nominated as the candidate of the opposition. So how do you expect that the total Tamil community will come forward to support him?
The breakdown of the peace process is a matter between the government of Sri Lanka and the LTT. When they voted, when they got the Tamils to boycott, Mr. Prabhakaran and the LTT should have had a different option. If he didn't have option, you can't blame anyone else. Certainly not any service commander who had to lead his services under instructions of government. Certainly you can hold them for any action that they have done. But remember that this broke down because no alternative to the Tokyo Agreement was worked out between the LTT and Mahinda Rajapaksa. If they trusted him, and I had to go through the humiliation of being called for various names by Prabhakaran and some of the other leaders who remember in November 2005. Even up to date, I have not called any names to Prabhakaran, even though he is dead and gone. I mean, I had to suffer the humiliation where the Sinhalese asked me, what is this? You dealt with this man. And here is this person who is calling you names, calling you double agent, being insincere. I think my friend Mr. Balasingham called me a fox, at least. That was something. But otherwise, utterly uncalled for if you look at the remarks that were made. So, That was in the hope that they had opened a new chapter with the Rajapaksa regime. Since then, I have had no dealings at all with the LTT at all. They have not contacted me. I think the Mavilar incident was silly. There was a reason that some of the monies given by aid agencies were not being spent on the Tamils, but that they could have asked the co-chairs and all to put pressure on the ADB to sort it out. But that Mavilar incident was really silly. I don't think it contributed to anything except weakening of the LTTE. So once the government gave the orders, the service commanders had to go ahead and execute it. So he was the commander who had to execute the orders given by the government. And the government gave the time frame, what should be done. And that's how the war developed. But now that he is no longer the army commander, he can express his own views. So I've asked many Tamils in Sri Lanka, go meet him. And if you are satisfied, tell me. And many of them have said, yes, we are satisfied with what he has been saying. He is a straight talker. That much I have known the man for a long time.